स एवम् आदिनि अनवार्तिष्ठितः कर्मानुभूयां महान् महात्मा कुर्वन् सावनी मंडलम यशा स्थितं निधाय रुरुहे परम पदम. King Prithu was greater than the greatest soul and was therefore worshipable by everyone. He performed many glorious activities in ruling over the surface of the world and was always magnanimous. After achieving such great success and a reputation which spread throughout the universe, he at last obtained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A responsible king or chief executive has many responsible duties to attend to in ruling over the citizens. The most important duty of the monarch or the government is to perform various sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literatures. The next duty of the king is to see that every citizen executes the prescribed duties for his particular community. It is the king's duty to see that everyone perfectly executes the duties prescribed for the Varna and Ashram divisions of the society. Besides that, as exemplified by King Prithu, he must develop the earth for the greatest possible production of food grains. There are different types of great personalities. Some are positive great personalities, some comparative, and some superlative. But King Prithu exceeded all of them. He is therefore described as here as Mahatma, greater than the greatest. Maharaj Prithu was a Kshatriya and he discharged his Kshatriya duties perfectly. Similarly, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, and Shudras can discharge their respective duties perfectly and thus, at the ultimate end of life, be promoted to the transcendental world which is called Parampadam. Parampadam or the Vaikuntha planets can be achieved only by devotional service. The impersonal Brahman region is also called Parampadam, but unless one is attached to the personality of Godhead, one must again fall down to the material world from the impersonal Parampadam situation. It is said therefore, Aruhya Krichena Parampadam Tata. 10 to 32. The impersonalists endeavor very strenuously to achieve the Parampadam or the impersonal Brahmajyoti. But unfortunately, being bereft of a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they come down again to the material world. And are given shelter in one of the material planets. Although they may attain Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, all such planets are situated in the material world. Srila Prabhupada is very powerfully describing here the duties of the king. And Srila Prabhupada is telling that establishing the Vedic instructions and the Vedic principles is the prime duty of the king. Establishing a spiritual Vedic culture is the prime duty of the king. That's first. And then next Prabhupada is telling, the next duty is to make sure that everyone is executing their prescribed duties according to their varna and ashram. And then the third thing was to ensure that there is good food grains. And in that sense, there is the material prosperity scale is in abundance. That's what the king's responsibility is. So this is quite interesting because this means that what? This means that so two things come here. Many times you see every one of the devotees is a leader or a king in some of the other circle of influence. Every one of us. So many times our devotees, it is observed that many times our devotees are quite focused on or quite bent upon seeing that others are doing their seva properly. Not like that. That nobody should create any discrepancy in their service. Hey, your seva, your seva, your seva, like that. So, so sometimes our managers or devotees are quite bent upon that. But this is the second step. The first step is even more important. And in general, the first step is forgotten. Or the first step is not given priority. Is it not? So taking a hunter and lashing everyone, that's fine. But that is that's the second step. The first step we have to understand, which is being talked about, is to create a very spiritually vibrant culture. And in that way, a very spiritually vibrant example. That's the first point being mentioned here. Because unless we create a spiritually vibrant example, how can you expect everyone to do what they are allotted to do? Is it not? Where is the platform on which they can act? Where is the inspiration how they can act? Is it not? Where is the example what they can see? Is it not? That is the prime responsibility of a leader or a king, as is explained here. And then comes managing. Is it not? Then comes managing. So therefore, sometimes the concept of just giving seva does not work out. That okay, my job is to just give seva and ensure that seva is done. That doesn't work out because the first step is not done. Then the devotees are not well equipped to do the seva properly. We have not given them a ground. We have not given them the ammunition. We have not given them the substance. We have not given them the inspiration, the motivation, the example. How are they going to do seva? Is it? That's the point. So many times. So therefore, actually, a king or a leader, as is being explained here, has to create a very spiritually vibrant atmosphere in his or her circle of influence. And then one can, and then one should ensure that everyone is following their prescribed allotted seva. That's the point. That's the point. And then after, and then comes the next point, to facilitate at all levels, genuinely, sincerely. So therefore we say, okay, When you do follow up, we are there to genuinely help the person on all fronts, material front also. Is it not? So genuinely, without any reservation in that sense. So yeah, genuine means without any reservation. So this is the point, and we can see the perfect example in the Maharaj. Therefore, he's called as Mahatma, the greatest among the great. Suta Uvacha Tadadhirajasya Yasho Vijrambitam Gunera Shesher Gunavat Sabhajitam Shatta Mahabhagavata Sadaspate Kausaravim Praha Grinantam Archayan. Suta Goswami continued, O Shaunaka, leader of the great sages, after hearing Maitreya speak about the various activities of King Prithu, the original king, who was fully qualified, glorified, and widely placed all over the world, Vidura, the great devotee, very submissively worshipped Maitreya Muni and asked him the following question. Viduruvacha So Abhishikta Prithur Viprair Laptha Sheshu Surarhana Bibrat Sa Vaishnavam Tejo Bahavor Yabhayam Dudohagam. Vidura said, My dear Brahman Maitreya, it is very enlightening to understand that King Prithu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas. All the demigods presented him with innumerable gifts, and he also expanded his influence upon personally receiving strength from Lord Vishnu. Thus, he greatly developed the earth. Because Prithu Maharaj was an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu and was naturally a great Vaishnav devotee of the Lord, all the demigods were pleased with him and presented different gifts to help him in exercising his royal power. And the great sages and saintly persons also joined in his coronation. Thus, blessed by them, he ruled over the earth and exploited its resources for the greatest satisfaction of the people in general. This has already been explained in the previous chapters regarding the activities of King Prithu. As will be apparent from the next verse, every executive head of state should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Prithu in ruling over his kingdom, regardless of whether the chief executive is a king or president, or whether the government is monarchical or democratic. This process is so perfect that if it is followed, everyone will be very happy. And thus, it will be very easy for all to execute devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ko navasya kirtim nashinoti abhijno tadvikramotshishtam ashesha bhupa loka sapala Upajivanti kamam adyapi tanme vada karma shuddham. Prithu Maharaj was so great in his activities and magnanimous in his method of ruling that all the kings and demigods on the various planets still follow in his footsteps. Who is there who will not try to hear about his glorious activities? I wish to hear more and more about Prithu Maharaj because his activities are so pious and auspicious. Saint Vidura's purpose in hearing about Prithu Maharaj over and over again was to set an example for ordinary kings and executive heads. Who should all be inclined to hear repeatedly about Prithu Maharaj's activities in order to be able to rule over their kingdoms or states very faithfully for the peace and prosperity of the people in general. Unfortunately, at the present moment, no one cares to hear about Prithu Maharaj or to follow in his footsteps. Therefore, no nation in the world is either happy or progressive in spiritual understanding, although that is the sole aim and objective of human life. Srila Prabhupada is so beautifully explaining here that because these nations do not hear about such a glorious example like that of Prithu Maharaj, that is a cause of the messed up situation, the degraded situation of the world. So the glories and activities, the activities of Prithu Maharaj are to be heard again and again. So this is a very interesting lesson for us. Why? Because this is a very interesting lesson for us. Why? Because the point to note is, see, many times a question or a doubt or a feeling may come in a sadhaka, in a practicing devotee, regarding the pastimes of the Lord. The feeling is that the feeling may come after some time that I already know the pastime. There's nothing new. It's nothing much. Nothing new. I already know the pastime. Now, like we have seen Kartik Yatras, Radhanath Maharaj takes Yatras. In Kartik Yatras, the devotees who have come the first time, oh, they are writing notes after notes. Everything is amazing for them, Their eyes are wide open, their mouth is wide open, Now they are enthusiastic, I remember when I had gone first yatra, first 3 or 4 yatras, I had also filled one full booklet, one full register I had filled with notes. That much notes. It was very nice, not like that. No. But after that, the saturation curve starts, or the down curve starts, and devotees are reaching 1 hour late, like that, and putting this microphone and roaming around here and there and eating, roaming around here and there, or maybe standing in the line in the food court. That evening food court is there, no? or in between only thinking that okay, I can do parallel processing, can eat in the food court now only, because later the stocks get finished. The Prasadam food court is there in the evening, the paid one. So all sorts of, is it not? All sorts of permutations, combinations, like that. And kirtan is going on, but we see as soon as kirtan starts, many devotees start leaving, some devotees start leaving, like that. So now the point is that the aspect comes is that okay, I already know this. That's the whole point which comes. I know the past time. Now Mahaprabhu gives mercy. So now devotees will require this will happen, that will happen. Like, so we have to understand what is the purpose of what is the purpose and the motivation, or what is the purpose of actually or basically what is the science, or what is the science of taking shelter of the pastimes of the Lord and the devotees. That's the point, is it not? That's the question. Or sometimes many a times there is an unsaid social pressure which is created by the society, the community of devotees only, that okay, if there is a class, should speak some new pastime. That which is there in Bhagavatam, everybody knows. Lots of big thing in that. But some new pastime, that which is there in normally everybody knows, or something new, something which is not there. Oh, what was the Leela which Krishna was doing, with the gopis and Radharani somewhere, in one of the funs, like that. So that everybody is excited to hear. And then later they may come to know, oh, where it is from. Oh, it is from Ananda, Vrindavan, Champu. Ah, satisfied. Isn't that some rare lila, like that? So sometimes many devotees may speak rare lila because they might have, or some lila from Vidagdha Madhav or Lalit Madhav, Radha Madhav. Radha Madhav may say we know. Lalit Madhav, like that. So we know Radha Madhav, isn't that? So then people are excited. But if one is just saying that, okay, so here was Nityanand Prabhu, and Nityanand Prabhu delivered Jagai and Vadhai. Yes, yes. It's okay. That's okay. But some rare Leela of Nityanand Prabhu, uh, uh, which is not there. Neither you can find it in Chaitanya Charitamrita nor in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Other texts are not much accessible to us. So then we are satisfied. Maza aa gaya, fully got nourished. Like that. So this is the wrong attitude. It's a completely wrong attitude. So the point is that the the purpose of hearing the pastime is to relive the pastime. Because when we relive the pastime, no, so that means to hear in the mood of Shakti is to basically the pastime. Enters our existence goes inside the pastime. In that way, we can relive the lives of devotees, the acharyas. We can relive the life of the Lord's devotees in the acharyas. When we start doing the depth of that reliving, uh, you can call it as a very powerful positive simulation, is it not? But this should be a powerful simulation. It should be a 5D, 10D simulation. Not a 1D, half D. Oh, talk with Ramanand. What was there in class? Today in the class. That's not the point. and we have not gained much. Knowledge or information is not enough. Go into their lives, live their lives, enter their lives. Because when we do that, then by that mood or by that intensity, what happens is that solution, motivation, strength, and the roadway to steer through of our own. When we actually go inside watching the difficulties Acharya, and we are inside those difficulties, and then we are walking through the acharyas to see how to steer, we are much better off and much equipped. We are on the gear, the right gear to steer through the problems of our own lives. That is the point. This is the mood which we have to when we hear the pastimes of the Lord. No, this is the mood. So that's why it is being said that one should hear the activities of Maharaj Prithu again and again. How many times? Whenever we end up into problem, we can switch that many times. Still end up in the so many times a day. Is it not? Therefore, as a thread, constant remembrance. Is it? Would hear Dhruva Maharaj and struggle day. And when Srila Gadadhar Pandit would finish, Mahaprabhu would say, restart. You know, it is finished. Restart. Is it? The fifth rule say, once and once again. What is Mahaprabhu doing? Mahaprabhu is showing his own example, this aspect. Pastime. Pastime. So many face, they are dumbfounded, they don't know anything. And it's important principle. The glories of the acharyas are meant to be heard again and again because it is these glories which can ease out the situations, the deadlocks of our life. It is these glories which can actually melt. They act as an acidic solution and they can melt the choked up parts of our heart. They can actually melt our disturbances and therefore we can get away. So if it is asked, okay, what do you know about Prithu Maharaj? We say, okay, Prithu Maharaj. Oh, Prithu Maharaj was, the Shakti Avesh avatar. And Prithu Maharaj, taught a good lot of this thing. That's how Prithu Maharaj was so glorious, no? That is not enough. Enough. We have, is it not? Okay, Prithu Maharaj got food grains of Mother Earth. But you have to flow with the mood, is it not? The mood of Mother Earth, mood of Prithu Maharaj, is it not? Maharaj, what is how he flew with that? You know, we have to go into that mood that why Prithu Maharaj is being gifted. As soon as he came, he was being given so many gifts, 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 so many gifts. And we can just try to visualize gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts. And then Prithu Maharaj is folding his hands after that. And he says, stop, stop, stop. Is it not? After that, a lot of things. Like a lot of things get resolved in our own lives. So therefore, again and again and again, so Krishna consciousness many times or sometimes may appear monotonous, but it is monotonous. If depth is there, Krishna consciousness will be ever sweet, ever English sweet. Is it not? So one should deep diver rather than a surface thriver. One should be deep, That's the point. That's the point, which is being highlighted by Srila Prabhupada fully at this juncture of the pastime. Maitha Yamuna Yor Antarashi Avasan Babubuje Bhogan Chihasaya. The great saintly, my dear Vidura, King Prithu lived in the tract of land between the two great rivers. Because he was very opposite that he was enjoying his in order to diminish the past pious. Pious and impious are applicable only in reference to activities of an ordinary living being. Was it subject to the reaction? As we have already explained previously, when a being is specifically empowered or he Shakti Avesh Avatar. Prithu Maharaj was not only a Shakti Avesh Avatar, also great devotee. A devotee is not subjections resulting from past. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Karma nirvahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. For devotees, the result of past pious and impious activities are nullified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Arabdhan Eva mean as if achieved by Maharaj, there was no question of action to past deeds. And thus the word Eva is used here to indicate comparison to in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Avajananti mam mudah. This means that sometimes people misunderstand an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be an ordinary man. The Supreme Godhead, his incarnations or his devotees, may pose themselves as ordinary men, but they are never to be considered as such. Nor should an ordinary man, not supported by authorized statements of the Shastras and Acharyas, be accepted as an incarnation or devotee. By the evidence of the Shastra, Sanatan Goswami detected Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be a direct incarnation of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Lord Chaitanya never disclosed the fact, it is therefore generally recommended that the Acharya or Guru should not be accepted as an ordinary man. This is interesting. The verse here explains that Prithu Maharaj was amidst